What came to light in that moment had nothing to do with ability or skill. It revealed something far deeper, a struggle over authority, responsibility, and influence. And once those truths were spoken aloud, there was no way to undo them or pretend they hadn't been heard.
And how the streak ended on how I've always played the game. It's just, how can we win? How can we win? Listen, I've done some incredible things in my career, and to be able to have a streak, to be able to be mentioned with some of the greats, to be able to live out my dream, it's all just like, it's surreal to me. So, but the one thing that's gonna always be a common thing for me is just always making the right play. And for it to end in that fashion was literally just the way I was taught how to play the game. And I've always done it that way.
So for those who didn't see it, late game in Toronto, Bron has 8 points.
YouTube, but on Instagram, they're a massive company here. So anyway, they conducted a poll, right? And the poll, the image says, Michael Jordan gets voted as the greatest basketball player of all time. And the poll already has the image already has 150,000 likes. And then they put in the caption, they said, our fans voted Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player of all time in a 77% versus 23% decision over Kobe Bryant. We plan on hosting more You Decide tournaments going.
He's not on that list. He's a great player, but he's not on that list. He wants to be like, wow, he's not in a GOAT conversation, because you're not, plain and simple.
Damn.
You had great success when you joined the Warriors, but not only did you not have success, you actually flamed out in those.
The Lakers head coach stunned everyone by publicly calling out LeBron James in a way no one saw coming. What followed wasn't just tension. The locker room blew apart, sparking chaos that now threatens to tear the franchise from within. What was meant to be a standard film review spiraled into a heated clash, with players taking sides, tempers flaring, and long-hidden issues being forced into the open. Leaked footage from inside the facility captures a moment unlike anything in LeBron's 22-year career: the complete collapse of trust between a superstar and his coach. The confrontation escalated so fast that security had to step in. Once the coach paused the tape, highlighted LeBron's errors in front of the entire roster, and addressed him directly, months of unresolved frustration finally boiled over. What came next shifted everything, exposing the reality behind closed doors and reshaping how we see what's truly happening inside the Lakers organization.
No, if it had just been draft choices, whatever. But the point is, Steph and Dre, for sure. And LeBron ultimately said no, because I believe two things were operating. Number one, his son does play at USC, and his son is everything to him. He is the sun and the moon to him, and which is why we keep talking about, well, if somebody drafts Bronny, will LeBron go wherever it is that it could be Sacramento, it could be anywhere, he just go wherever Bronny was.
Is that an example of kind of where you've come from after missing the first 14 games and obviously not being able to play the other night too, just in terms of where your wind is at and where kind of how your body's feeling, be able to perform like that?
I mean, every day is its own challenge, and I just try to put the work in and try to prepare myself for whatever that day calls for. And, I mean, got a lot of rest. I would say sleep. I was able to sleep a lot last night and then get up and get a good workout in before I came here for a shoot around.
Let me set the scene. It's early January 2025, the morning after a crushing defeat. The kind of loss where nothing works. The defense is scrambling, the energy feels flat, and whispers about effort and buy-in start to circulate. The players walk into the film room expecting business as usual. Same routine. Roll the footage, point out the mistakes, learn the lesson, and turn the page.
He's a narcissist, and he made a decision not to play against the Spurs because he knows that he's not good enough to be on the court against the Spurs. Because if he thought that he helps the Lakers win basketball games, or if the Lakers are a better team with him on the court, then you would have sat out against the Pelicans and gotten yourself ready to play against a much tougher opponent in the San Antonio Spurs. But what did he do?
Last out of all 18 players in defensive rating per 100 possessions, okay? Right now, he's 15th. And the players he's better than on defense listed are as follows. So LeBron James is better on defense than Christian Coloco. I have no idea who that is. Gabe Vincent.
At best, compete with OKC.
Listen, it's not over. I'm not writing them off. Anything can happen here in the next 3-4 days. Let's go out and get some guys and get the Lakers back in contention where LeBron needs to be.
So the ultimate sign of respect was paid to Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, who is the most layered, productive, essential player in the NBA. There's a lot of good players, SGA, Giannis, and the aging KD, Luka, LeBron, but there's one Jokic. He's the best shooting big man ever. He's the best passing big man ever.
The coach enters carrying his familiar bundle of notes, tablet ready with the night's footage. Players drift into their seats, a few scrolling on their phones, others sipping coffee or water. On the surface, it's standard procedure. Professional. Just another workday in the NBA.
You know what, guys? Just get me to the East. Just trade me, Lakers. We're not winning anything. We're not a top 5 team in the West. Send me to the East. I could get to the finals. Do you think LeBron would actually do that?
No, I think LeBron's business, and it's a fair question. I think LeBron has to look at it like this. He knew his first couple years in the league. He's a smart guy. He knew the first couple years in Cleveland, out of high school, they were not a championship team. In fact, getting to the finals against the Spurs, despite the fact they were swept, they were ahead of schedule.
Oh, wait.
From about that year on until this past year, LeBron has felt like the team he has is a championship-level team. But at some point, you have to acknowledge Michael Jordan did when he went to the Wizards. You know, Shaq was bouncing around the league. He knew the last 3 or 4 years he wasn't on a championship team. I think LeBron is smart enough to know this is the first year in maybe 15 years. LeBron, you have to go back to that getting swept by the Spurs. And I'm sure going into that finals, LeBron thought he had a chance. This is the first time in a long time that LeBron's sort of being told without being directly told, dude, it's not about a championship. The organization is first, second, and third. You've had a great run, but we're not going to include you as we build going forward.
I get that, but Colin, let me just remind you, LeBron was an all-NBA player last year, averaged like 25, 7, and 7. And he's paired with Luka Doncic. So you have 2 of the 10 best players in the league.
Yeah.
I don't think you're out of it, but I definitely think there's an uphill climb in the West. Like, listen, wacky things happen in the East. Jason Tatum and Halliburton, they look like they were going to be in the conference finals again next year. They're both out next season. The East is wide open. Like, things can happen. Let's not write the Lakers off just yet.
Well, remember, things do happen, especially to 41-year-olds in their 23rd year.
Also that.
You think LeBron's going to play 80 games and 40?
Instead of the usual clips showing offensive sets or collective defensive mistakes, the coach took a different approach. He zeroed in on individual possessions, defensive rotations, and very quickly it became clear who the focus was. LeBron James. The first clip rolled. A simple pick and roll. LeBron didn't rotate. His assignment slipped free for an uncontested bucket. The coach stopped the tape, rewound it, played it again, and pointed at the screen. Right here. The rotation never comes. That's a breakdown. A few players shifted in their seats. It was direct, sure, but maybe it was just an example. Maybe the coach was building toward a larger message about team defense. Then the second clip played. Same story. Late rotation. Eyes glued to the ball. His man wide open. The coach paused it again, rewound it again, and this time slowed it down. We've gone over this exact situation in practice, he said. This can't happen. Now the mood changed. The room tightened. Players glanced at each other, then toward LeBron, trying to read him. He sat back with his arms crossed, expression blank, but his jaw was clenched. His posture said everything his face didn't. And the clips kept coming. Third, fourth, fifth. Each one isolated. Each one deliberate. Not team mistakes. Not shared responsibility. Just LeBron, missing rotations, losing his man, jogging back in transition, taking possessions off. This wasn't instruction anymore. It was exposure. The coach was laying LeBron's shortcomings bare in front of the entire roster, the full coaching staff and members of the organization. Everyone in that room knew exactly what was happening. Later, one player would describe the atmosphere as suffocating. Another said the tension felt physical, like pressure in the air. Because this simply doesn't happen to LeBron James. Not after 2 decades in the league. Not to a player with championships, influence, and a legacy that defines a franchise. Coaches don't single him out like this. Not publicly, not like this. But this coach did. By the 6th or 7th clip, no one was even counting anymore. That's when the coach finally addressed the room directly. According to multiple people present, he said something close to this: "I don't care who you are or what you've done. Everyone plays defense. Everyone brings effort. Everyone is accountable. No exceptions." That last phrase lingered. No exceptions. Everyone knew who it was meant for. And everyone sensed what was coming next. Because this wasn't just about a handful of missed rotations. The coach went deeper. He pulled up numbers, defensive ratings, opponent shooting percentages when LeBron was the primary defender, transition metrics showing how often he failed to get back. The data wasn't subtle. It was brutal. "These aren't opinions," the coach reportedly said. "These are facts. And they're unacceptable for anyone wearing this jersey." Then came the contrast. Clips of younger players. Role guys. Players earning a fraction of LeBron's salary. Sprinting back. Making extra rotations. Diving on the floor. The message was unmistakable. One source close to the team said the coach then shifted to leadership. "Leadership isn't just scoring or creating offense," he said. "It's setting the standard everywhere. And right now that standard isn't being met." That landed like a shot. A direct challenge to LeBron's role as the team's leader. The coach kept going, talking about effort and example. How younger players learn what's acceptable by watching veterans. When stars take plays off, it tells everyone else that effort is optional. "We can't win," he allegedly said, "when our best players don't commit on both ends." What should have been a quick film review stretched past 40 minutes. Nothing rushed. Every point driven home. The message was unmistakable. LeBron James was not immune to accountability. Through it all, LeBron stayed silent. No interruptions. No arguments. No rebuttals. Just sitting there while his lapses were dissected in front of the room. But silence didn't mean agreement. Everyone there felt it. That quiet wasn't acceptance. It was pressure building. When the coach finally shut off the projector and said, "This is fixable, but only if everyone commits to doing things the right way," the lights came back on. And that's when everything exploded. LeBron stood up instantly. Not slowly. Not casually. The room snapped to attention. He spoke calmly at first, but his tone carried an edge everyone recognized. "So this is how we're doing this now," he said. In front of everybody. The coach didn't back down. "This is about the team. Everyone needs to hear it." That's when LeBron's voice rose. Sources say he challenged the coach's schemes, rotations, and decision-making. He pointed to losses he felt were on the staff. He accused the coach of singling him out instead of addressing deeper, systemic issues. "You want to put me on blast?" he reportedly said. "Let's talk about your rotations. Let's talk about an offense that hasn't worked. Let's talk about why guys aren't put in positions to succeed." The coach fired back. "No system works without effort." The argument escalated fast. Voices rose. Neither man backed down. Then teammates got involved. Some younger players tried to calm things down. Others, veterans, took sides. One reportedly stood and said he's not wrong, though no one could tell who he meant. Another jumped in to defend LeBron, citing everything he'd done for the franchise. That sparked another argument. Suddenly it wasn't one confrontation, it was several. The room fractured in real time. Coaches tried to intervene. Too late. This wasn't about film anymore. This was months of frustration finally spilling out. Chairs shifted. Something hit the floor. Security outside heard the noise and stepped in. That's when it stopped. The yelling gave way to an angry silence. LeBron grabbed his things and walked out without another word. The coach stayed behind, trying to regain control, but everyone knew it was already over. What happened in that room changed everything. Within hours, details leaked. Staff talked quietly. Different versions spread, but the core stayed the same. The coach publicly challenged LeBron, and the locker room detonated. The front office went into crisis mode. Emergency meetings. Calls to ownership. PR damage control. But the story was already loose. Reporters started asking questions. Players called agents. Fans sensed something was wrong. Behind closed doors, the Lakers weren't just dealing with a bad loss. They were dealing with a broken locker room.